All right, guys, let's get into doing my 2023 driver lineup predictions. Who I think is going to be in each team on the grid for the 2023 F1 season. We're now 7 races deep into the season, and I think we've got a good idea of where everyone is performance-wise, how the teams are doing as well. So I think we've got a good idea of what we can expect for next year. In saying that, I did these predictions last night or 2 nights ago. I wrote down it all on my Google Doc, all ready to talk about today. And overnight, we've already had another big rumor come out for one of the drivers. We'll talk about them. So I've probably already got one prediction wrong, but yeah, let's get into it.
So I just wanted to preface this video by saying I recorded this a few weeks ago before a few things happened in the F1 world. One of those things being all the rumors coming out about Piastri going to Williams with the new Renault deal. The other being Gasly re-signing to AlphaTauri for 2023. And the other thing being Yuri Vips being suspended from Red Bull. All these things happened before I made this video, so just keep that in mind when watching. But with that said, let's get into it.
Red Bull 2023 prediction, starting off with Max Verstappen. I mean, he's signed till 2028. He's Red Bull's future. I'm pretty confident that Max will be here next year. I mean, we all know. We all know he's signed, unless something tragic happens and he gets paid like $200 million by Saudi Arabian to go drive in the Formula 1 Saudi Arabian League. I'm fairly sure Verstappen will be driving for Red Bull next year. And then Perez just recently signed a 2-year deal extension onto his already existing contract until 2024. There was a lot of options that Red Bull could have done, but I think at the end of the day, it makes so much sense for Perez to be the second driver at Red Bull. It's exactly what Red Bull need. A good, solid, consistent second driver. Someone who could fight for the championship, but isn't gonna be a menace and take Verstappen out and cause too many issues to the team. Yeah, getting that 2-year extension makes a lot of sense. That means my prediction is obviously Verstappen and Perez for 2023. Pretty obvious. Moving on to Ferrari. So first off, Charles Leclerc signed till 2024. He is the future of Ferrari. He has been for a while now. I don't see him getting his contract terminated early. Even if he does have a very bad season, I still think they'll give him another year or 2 to kind of pick it back up. Kind of like, you know, Seb. You know, it won't just be a quick drop. It will take time. And I don't think Leclerc is going to be dropping off anytime soon. And he signed until 2024. And Sainz also just recently re-signed another 2-year extension until 2024. It was very up in the air. Was it going to be a 1-year extension, 2-year extension? Ended up being 2 years, which is great for Carlos. Just like I was saying with Perez, you know, giving him that confidence for the next 2 years while he's at the team to be able to just drive with confidence, drive smoothly, not having to worry about being dropped every single week. In saying that though, he's re-signed and he's kind of gone backwards. He's having just as bad races as he was prior to getting signed. He's, you know, getting stuck in the gravel, crashing in practice, not having the best of results. He's gotten very, very unlucky this season. I don't think Sainz is driving bad by any means, but he is obviously struggling a little bit, and I hope he picks that up before the end of the year. So yeah, that means my prediction for the Ferrari's 2023 lineup is Leclerc and Sainz. All right, moving on to Mercedes. I'm starting off with George Russell. He's signed until 2023. I actually didn't know that, to be honest. I kind of forgot that he signed a 2-year deal when he started at Mercedes. I mean, he's fucking delivering this year. He is the future of Mercedes as well. Obviously, we know Hamilton hasn't got long left in him. I definitely expect him to get another extension this year. He's just killing it. He's got top 5 at every single race. He's the future of Mercedes. He's delivering exactly what he's been saying he would do when he was at Williams. And yeah, I've been very pleasantly surprised by Russell. Now, moving on to Hamilton. Hamilton is signed until 2023, but it's very up in the air if he will actually compete next year. He's obviously got a clause in his contract where if he's not feeling it, if the team's not delivering, he can leave. And there's a lot of people who also think he will leave. There's a lot of people who thought he was going to leave last year before the Abu Dhabi incident. There's people who thought he was going to leave after the Abu Dhabi incident. Even though Hamilton's having a hard year and he's pretty upset in the interviews most of the time, he's upset with his car. He will want to stay till at least 2023, have a full year with the new Rega cars and fight for that 8th world title before he retires. So yeah, for that reason, I do think Mercedes will stay the same as well with that insane lineup. Moving on, Alpine 2023 predicted lineup. Finally getting to slides where we can talk about more drivers, more options that this team have. So starting off with Ocon. Ocon is signed until 2024, and honestly, this was the worst contract, I think. At least in my time watching Formula 1, this is the worst contract I've seen in Formula 1. Imagine signing one of the most average drivers on the grid for 4 years. This was probably one of the worst decisions Alpine could have made. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Ocon is bad. I don't think he's shit. I think he is good for Alpine, but he's proven over the last 3 years that he has not got as much potential as the other young drivers coming up. F2 is filled with talent. There's even drivers who can't even get on the grid right now, like Nick de Vries, like Oscar Piastri. Ocon is not only taking up a seat at a team that could get one of these young drivers in for the future, but But he's there for 4 years. He's there till 2024. So an option for 2023 that Alpine have is Gasly. There was a lot of rumors at the start of the year that he was going to go to Alpine because of a French team, you know, is Alonso leaving, blah, 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 blah. But I generally don't think Gasly's going to want to take the risk. I think AlphaTauri is performing around the same level as Alpine, has the same potential to do as well as Alpine. And Gasly has shown that he's driving well there. So why would he want to take a risk at a team like Alpine, especially when he's got the issues with Ocon? If you don't know, Ocon and Gasly used to be best friends when they were younger, when they were karting. They had a big falling out. They don't really like each other. Business-wise, they respect each other on, you know, on the grid and off the grid. But working in a team environment, I don't think that would be the best pairing. Then we've got the two Alpine Academy drivers, Piastri and Doohan. Personally, I think Piastri is the best thing Alpine could do. If they had a 1-year contract on Ocon or a 2-year contract on Ocon, they could have dropped him and picked up Piastri, but they can't. And they're going to miss out on Piastri. And it's so sad. They're going to let Piastri sit there and get taken by another team, or he's just going to sit there for another year in the wake. And it's so sad to see because, you know, this is the whole point of the academy, is to build up these drivers. When a driver does well, get them in the team. And they've just got this average Ocon sitting there who's had 3 years to prove himself and done nothing. And then there's Doohan. It's only his first season in F2. He came second in the F3 championship. And I'll be honest, I think Alpine might stick with their lineup for now and think about Doohan in the future. I think they'll leave him one more season in F2. You know, he's doing well now. Leave him one more season in F2 and they'll pick him up in a few years. And they might just let Piastri go. But then obviously we've got the big dog, Alonso. His contract actually ends this year. So he's made it very clear that he wants to keep going. I honestly think he'll stay for 2 more years. Ocon is meant to be the young driver at the team. So I think it makes sense for Alpine to want to keep Alonso on. He's delivering. He's got the name behind him. He's great. He's great for the marketing side of the team. And if Ocon's their young driver that they signed a 4-year deal for, you know, it makes sense to have Alonso as your older driver in the team. So I predict it will be Alonso and Ocon teaming up again for the 2023 season. All right, AlphaTauri. But first off, I want to talk about the Red Bull Academy. There's so many of them. They don't even fit on the screen. There's so fucking many. Over on the far left, we've got motherfucker Iwasa. I didn't even know he was in the Red Bull Academy. He's coming to F2 and he's doing pretty good. Need a few years to develop. Then we've got Daruvula. Mans has been in F2 for a long time and finally this year he's stepped it up. He's doing well and has the potential to be the best of the Red Bull Academy drivers. I never thought I'd be saying that. We've then got Helga winning the F3 championship last year in a pretty dominant fashion, and then he's coming to F2 and been pretty slow off the start. I think he needs another year to develop as well. And we've got Lawson and Vips. I mean, I think those two are the ones that have the most chance at getting that AlphaTauri seat. I mean, Vips is driving very, very well, but he's making a lot of mistakes. He's getting very unlucky as well, but he's making a lot of mistakes that are costing him some good points. And if he doesn't win the F2 championship this year, he might need to stay in F2 for another season. And then same with Lawson. I mean, Lawson did so good in DTM. First year in GT cars, absolutely annihilated Albon. And he should be favorite for that seat. But it seems like Red Bull is favoring Vips more. I don't know if they're favoring him because they want him or they're giving him time in the F1 car and more favorite this year just to see how he goes. But Lawson's just getting so unlucky in F2. I want to say he's ready for F1, but he's not had the chance in F2 to be able to prove himself. And if he doesn't fight for that title this year, I also don't think he will be ready for the AlphaTauri seat. So honestly, I generally see Vips and Lawson staying for another season of F2 if they don't win this year. So Gasly, his contract ends in 2022. It's rumored and leaked that he's re-signed already. And like I was saying with Alpine before, I just don't think Gasly wants to take a risk with another midfield team when he could be the best driver at the team he's so comfortable with in AlphaTauri. Unless it's a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a Red Bull or even a McLaren, I just don't see him wanting to move teams. I genuinely think there is the opportunity he could be at Mercedes in a few years' time. If he makes the move to a team like Alpine or even McLaren next year, I think he ruins that chance of being at Mercedes in the future. Anyways, the other AlphaTauri seat, there's obviously Tsunoda, contract ending this year as well. And I just think AlphaTauri don't want to take the risk again with another driver. He stunk last year. He did so bad. Got points in his first race at Bahrain, had a really good drive at Abu Dhabi, and the other 18 or whatever fuck races it was in between were terrible. His attitude stunk. You could see it in Drive to Survive. You could see it in interviews. He wasn't prep training. He didn't care. I don't think he should have got re-signed for 2022, but they re-signed him. They gave him a chance and he's really stepped it up this year and it's really, really good to see. Honestly, I can see him being re-signed and that's why my prediction is both Gasly and Tsunoda again. All right, moving on. We're up to McLaren. Now, starting it off with Lando Norris. He is signed until 2025 and I am confident he will be there until 2025. I mean, there's not much more to say. He's the future of McLaren. He said he wants to stay at McLaren as long as they're a good team and as long as he's driving well there. He said, I don't see a future at any of the top teams. You know, Mercedes has Russell, Red Bull has Verstappen, Ferrari has Leclerc. The next best team is McLaren, and I'm the best guy here. I think he knows that and he owns that, and he's going to be there for until something drastic happens or until he wins a championship and he stays there forever. But the other seat, very, very controversial seat in the sport right now, Daniel Ricciardo. Now, the thing is, I learned this last week or 2 weeks ago. He's signed till 2023. I thought he had a 2-year contract. They signed him for 3 years. Verstappen signed a big contract. Leclerc signed a big contract. But I think it's so risky signing an older driver, but also signing a driver who's coming from another team. It's so risky. They could do exactly what Ricciardo's done. Show up to the team and just underperform. Last year, underperformed a shit. He got a win at Monza. Cool, you know, well done to him. But it was the easiest track on the calendar. It was an outlier out of what was many stinky races last year. He lost McLaren so many points last year and ultimately a lot of money. And this year it's continuing. He's not doing as shit as last year, but he's still just on that average train where I don't even see him progressing. Last year at least saw him progressing because he started at such a shit point. This year I've not seen him progress. He's just stuck being just mid-tier. And I don't think Ricciardo's a mid-tier driver. I just think he's not comfortable with the team, and he's had 2 years to get comfortable. And if they keep him on for 2023, I'll be shocked. And for that reason, I think he is going to get dropped from McLaren. Zach Brown knows the potential that McLaren has, and he's been vocal about it recently. He knows how much Ricciardo is learning on the team, and I think he will get dropped before the end of the year. And with Ricciardo, where will he go? I genuinely think he will retire. He said his whole career, if I don't think I can win, I won't be here. And I think he knows that he hasn't got the chance at the top teams anymore. His time in McLaren's gone. Will he want to go to a midfield back market team and try build that team up? I don't think he will. He's been in the sport for long enough. He's got a lot of commitments outside. He's got other motorsports he probably wants to compete in. And it's sad. I can't see the sport without Daniel Ricciardo, but he shot himself in the foot leaving Renault. Well, first off, he shot himself in the foot leaving Red Bull. He shot himself in the foot leaving Renault especially. And he's definitely struggled at McLaren. And it's sad, but I think he just needs to take a year away from the sport like Alonso. Maybe he realizes he doesn't enjoy Formula 1, but hopefully he realizes his love for the sport and he comes back to say like an Aston Martin or a Haas or something like that and builds them back up. Who are the other options for the team? Obviously, there is the option for Pierre Gasly. Gasly is probably the hottest driver not under contract right now, and he's definitely an option for McLaren in 2023, but I don't think they've shown enough interest. Last year they did, but this year it's been very, very quiet. The other two options, definitely the two IndyCar drivers. So if you're just in the Formula 1 world and you don't know, McLaren own an IndyCar team, McLaren Arrow, and these two drivers are very different drivers. O'Ward is very much your Carlos Sainz, your Sergio Perez of the sport. Very consistent, always fighting near the front, but maybe hasn't got as much peak of talent as, say, like a Max Verstappen, right? And that's what Colton Herta is. Colton Herta is that driver like a Max, like a Leclerc, who has that potential to be the best in the sport, to be such an insane driver, but makes a lot of mistakes and has a lot of learning to do. Now, Pato did the Abu Dhabi test in 2021 with McLaren, the F1 team. It was looking like Pato could have gone to McLaren this year or next year, and he was arguably performing better than Herta the last 2 years as well. But then all of a sudden, he just got sidelined by Herta. Out of nowhere, Herta got signed as the reserve driver for McLaren F1 team. I did not expect that. Then Pato went on to sign with McLaren Arrow, the IndyCar team, until 2025. So as much as I'd love to see O'Ward in Formula 1, and we may see him in the future, unfortunately he got sidelined by Herta and he decided to stick in IndyCar until 2025. Another driver who it's definitely a possibility is Nick de Vries. Obviously the links with Mercedes. He wants to make his way into the sport, and I think McLaren are looking for someone who they don't want to waste time with. They've wasted so much time with Daniel. Daniel's thrown away so many points for the team. Lando is their future, so why not get a driver like de Vries in, who's had 3 years experience in Formula E, won the championship, 3 years experience in Formula 2, won the championship. I honestly think this is a great option for McLaren, especially in this weird position that they're in now. I think de Vries is the best option, but do I think that's going to happen? No, I think it's going to be Piastri. I think Piastri is going to get cucked to that Alpine seat, and I think it's a young driver that McLaren can build up. That is my prediction for 2023. There you go, his head nice on the suit. I think it's going to be Norris and Piastri for 2023, honestly. I hope. Williams, worst team on the grid this year, but have the potential to do well next year. First driver we can talk about is Albon. His contract ends in 2022. I thought he signed a 2-year deal, actually. So I was very, very surprised that they signed him for 1 year, but I'll be fucking shocked if they don't re-sign him for 2023. It makes sense to re-sign him. And then the second seat. Nicholas Latifi. Thank God his contract ends this year. What is there to say about him? He's underperforming. Williams has said they don't need money anymore. Last year, actually, an interview came out. Well, Russell was still at the team. They said, we have got enough money now to where we don't need to look at drivers for sponsorships. And I think that's a big sign to Latifi to step up his game. If he's not dropped at the end of this year, it's just fucking stupid, right? I'm so confident he will get dropped at the end of this year. There's even a possibility that there's a mid-season swap. By mid-season this year, I could honestly see the driver I predict to be in the Williams seat swapping with him. So who will replace Latifi, do I think? There is obviously the likes of Vesty and Sargent in the wings, but I don't think these guys are ready. I mean, Vesty has the link to Mercedes. Williams obviously has the Mercedes engine. We have seen Williams bring the Mercedes crew up before, obviously with Russell, but Vesty's just not ready. And unless they want to fast track him there, I don't think they'll do that. Same with Logan Sargent. I mean, he's a Williams Academy driver, so he's got direct ties to Williams, but he's just not ready. And unless they want to fast track as well. So who do I think will sign for Williams in 2023? I think it will be Nick DeVries. He's got the link to Mercedes. Obviously, Mercedes being the engine supplier of Williams. He is 27 years old at the end of the day, but I think he's got potential. So yeah, for that reason, I think the Williams driver lineup, like, he looks so good. He looks so good. Why does he look so good in the Williams outfit? If that isn't a sign he's going to be in Williams in 2023, then I don't know what is. Alfa Romeo really stepped it up this year. I'm slowly becoming more and more of an Alfa Romeo fan. And with Bottas there for until 2025, it makes me very excited. I really liked Bottas when I first got into the sport. And then I slowly realized how shit he was at Mercedes, or how much he underdelivered at Mercedes. And he's come to Alfa Romeo and he's fucking killed it. You know, every race, delivering, qualifying, outperforming the car. And yeah, he's signed till 2025, which I didn't know. I didn't know he was signed for that long. Who's going to line up next to Bottas? Is it Guan Yu Zhou? Well, his contract ends this year. He came in on a 1-year contract solely or mainly because of the money, the Chinese sponsorship to get his foot in the door. And he's doing really well. I'm not going to lie. He is doing very, very well. But honestly, the harsh reality is I think he got signed for the money, and Alfa Romeo's future lies with Théo Pourchaire. And I think with Bottas being there for so long, they want to have a young driver they can develop for the future. And Pourchaire is an academy driver for Alfa Romeo. He did very, very well in F2 in his first season in 2021, and he's doing very, very well this year, contender for the championship. And he has so much potential. And at the end of the day, Alfa Romeo got their bag with Zhou. They gave him his opportunity. I do believe Alfa Romeo not only gave him that opportunity to get his foot in F1, but I think he's going to stay in Formula 1, and he will make his way back in Formula 1 at some point. But I do think Pourchaire will sit alongside Bottas in 2023. Aston Martin. So we were just talking about pay drivers, and pay driver being someone who's locked into the team solely because of money. And so much so, Stroll's contract's fucking unknown. It's not even out there. Nowhere on the internet could I find it. At the end of the day, his dad owns the team. And as long as his dad owns the team, he will be at Aston Martin. If you want my opinion, though, just like Ocon, he's driving pretty averagely. I think he does some good every now and then. He does some bad every now and then. But at the end of the day, he's had 5 years in Formula 1. In those 5 years, like, yeah, he's gotten a couple of podiums. He's had the pole position. He's had some decent results. But over those 5 years, I don't think he's proven that he has the potential to win a world championship. And I don't know why any team would want to keep him on board. But then we move on to the other seat, Sebastian Vettel. His contract runs out in 2022. I think he's going to retire. I don't think Vettel's really shown signs that he wants to stay in Formula 1, unlike Ricciardo and Alonso. He's obviously getting older now. He's just not been the same since Ferrari 2018 season. Who is up for contention for that other seat? Obviously, there is Daniel Ricciardo, but like I said, I don't think Ricciardo wants to be in a backfield team. If he wants to, you know Aston Martin will give him the bag. Aston Martin have the money. Driver contracts aren't under the budget cap, so they'll pay him shitloads. And the only way I see Ricciardo at Aston is if they pay him a fat bag and he does it for the money. The other option, though, is Mick Schumacher. There's rumors going around that he's going to go to Aston Martin to get away from Haas. Whether he gets dropped from Haas, which is kind of unlikely, but, you know, if he keeps smashing the car up, if he keeps under-delivering, he might get dropped. But I think Mick might choose to leave Haas on his own accord and go to Aston. I mean, with the money that Aston Martin's investing, new factory coming in, their 5-year plan, maybe Mick just wants to get away from Haas, get away from that team that he's having issues with right now. And he also knows that his competition in Stroll isn't great. He's currently at Haas thinking, I'm here against Magnussen, I'm getting slapped up. Maybe he wants to go to Aston and be the main driver. Yeah, I honestly think with the rumors going around, it will be Stroll and Schumacher and Aston Martin, and they'll make the worst driver pairing on the grid. Our last Haas team. Haas have stepped it up. Another team that's gone from, you know, being a back marker, what's their future going to be, to, oh, we're in the midfield now. Still got no fucking money. Still not brought upgrades to their car, but they're looking for a main sponsor still. They've said we've got more money on the line. We've got more money we can bring in. So I don't know. Maybe Haas's future looks good. We'll see. We'll see. We have got Magnussen, who I didn't know signed a 2-year deal. I thought he was on a 1-year deal. Even if he was on a 1-year deal, I would have highly expected him to be at Haas in 2023. Anyway, I mean, he's delivering. He's experienced. There's nothing more to say about him. So who's going to be at the second seat of Haas? I said it before. He'll be back. I think Zhou will get the seat. Because he got signed to Alfa Romeo, he had that year to prove himself. Alfa Romeo decide, okay, Zhou did good, but we want to bring Porsche in. I think Zhou has done enough in his time at Alfa Romeo to deserve that seat at Haas. I think it makes sense for Haas to sign him as well. Haas need money. This man has fucking money with all the Chinese sponsors. He's shown he's had potential at Alfa Romeo, and it's someone that Haas can build up alongside Magnussen. So yeah, for that reason, I think 2023, we'll see Magnussen and Zhou lined up. And again, his head he just suits the suit. Does he not just like look like he suits that team? If that's not a reason for Zhou to be at Haas in 2023, then I don't know what is. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap up my 2023 driver lineup predictions. Some of these I definitely hope come true. Some of these I hope don't come true, but it's just what I predict. But yeah, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
I can't take this anymore. You say we're done.